Hello, everybody, and welcome to my live. I have to put my timer on because I have consults I have to give after, and I don't want to miss them. So, rather than keep looking at my watch, I'll just put my timer on, and then I'll know when it's time. There we go. How's that sound? All right. Well, I hope everybody's doing well today. What's the live subject on today? It's on provisional waivers. And I've done, as with every immigration subject, I've done several videos on provisional waivers. But what the subject is for today on the provisional waivers, what does provisional mean? And why is it provisional? Okay? It's important to know, because if you don't do things right and you leave, the provisional comes into effect and your waiver disappears. So what I'll do is let me go into my spiel about, provisional waivers, and then I will go back. I will see what questions we have today, and then I will answer whatever I have time for, or all of them, whichever, and then we'll go from there. Okay? If anybody wants to have a live consult with me, and by that I mean immigration consult, you have to put here that that's what you want, and then I can click I assume I can click whatever it is I click to get you on, and then you can ask me your questions live, okay? So that's that. So, provisional waiver. So, let me just discuss, just for a minute, what the provisional waiver is before I get into provisional, okay? So there's lots of things in immigration law that can be waived, meaning you're inadmissible for one reason or another, and there is a procedure that allows you to submit documentation and so forth, and basically say to immigration, look, I know I'm inadmissible, but forget about it, let me in type thing, and they waive the ground of inadmissibility. So a provisional waiver waives unlawful presence. That's it. Okay, nothing else. So if you have crimes, if you have fraud, if you have public charge issues, if you have medical issues, then this won't work. Okay, so it's for those people basically who are here in the U.S. And I'll give an example, because it's always better if you have a concrete example to understand, where I'm going with this. So, a U.S. citizen marries a foreign national here, and the foreign national does not qualify to adjust. We don't need to get into all the hundreds of reasons why. Just assume the foreign national does not qualify to adjust, and eventually has to leave and do consulate processing. And let's just assume the foreign national's been here over a year. So the moment they leave, they can't come back for 10 years because they're subject to the 10-year bar, because they are unlawfully present, okay? And so because of that, what that means is that if they get a waiver of the unlawful presence, then they do not have to wait the 10 years outside, and they can come back. Hence the provisional waiver. So the consulate processing, goes through and does everything while the foreign national's here in the U.S. And even before it hits the U.S. consulate in the home country of where this person is, there's a hold put on it while the adjudicators look at the provisional waiver here in the U.S. And if it's granted, then what that means is that the case then proceeds forward, goes to the consulate, interview set, the person leaves the U.S. If everything is fine, hunky-dory, no problems, then the person returns, in 1 week or 2 weeks, really very quickly, because they already have a provisional waiver of inadmissibility granted while they were in the U.S. That's the point. Okay, you can do all this while you're in the U.S., okay? And then the waiver's granted, they leave, they come back, they have lawful permanent residency. It's a great tool to use. Okay? So the question then becomes is, why is it called provisional waiver and not just waiver? Okay? Because any other waiver you do, you just file the waiver itself, not provisionally. Okay? And it'll either be granted or denied. So provisional, the word itself means that if it's granted, it will be granted basically on the condition that everything is as you say it is and no surprises pop up. Okay? So if somebody comes into my office and they say something to the effect, I have no crimes, no deportation orders, nothing, I've been unlawfully present, and they swear up and down 2 ways to Sunday that they've only been unlawfully present, and I do a provisional waiver for them based on those facts, and it's granted, and they leave the United States to go get their green card, and at the consulate, sure enough, what pops up is something to the effect of a prior deportation order or a crime. Now, just to say, I would never take a client's word that they've never been deported, that they don't have any crimes, none of that. I mean, I always follow up and check, okay? Because it's my duty, all right? But a lot of times if people try doing this with less experienced lawyers, or they try doing it on their own, and they forget to mention about a crime, or some other ground of inadmissibility, maybe they forgot to mention they entered with someone else's green card type thing, then at the consulate, because it was a provisional waiver, they then take the authority they have and they revoke that waiver. So that person now is stuck outside the United States. They have a provisional waiver that has been revoked, which means it doesn't exist anymore. And now they have to file waivers, assuming they exist, for whatever other grounds of inadmissibility were found. So if at the interview it's determined that they had a prior crime or that they committed fraud or something to that effect, then they're going to have to do the criminal waiver or the fraud waiver, and it needs to be adjudicated new, and of course these things take a lot of time. They take a lot of time. So you do not want to file a provisional waiver unless you are truly and only inadmissible under unlawful presence. Now, given that I said that, there are a couple exceptions. You could have a deportation order, and you could file a permission to re-enter. Okay, that's basically a waiver for a deport order. Okay, and assuming that's granted, you will then be eligible for the provisional waiver, and sometimes you can even file them concurrently. All right, all that makes sense. So the provision in provisional waiver is very important, because if you decide that you're going to withhold information from immigration just so you can get a provisional waiver granted, you're not really doing your or your family a service, because it's going to come up. I mean, it might not come up here, and the time it usually comes up is when you left the country and you're at the interview at the consulate, and they, of course, have your criminal records. You know, when they say, did you commit any crimes? They know exactly what crimes you committed. They know exactly your whole record. They've already pulled it. You did your FBI fingerprints. They just want to see if you're going to tell the truth. They want to see if you're going to lie. They want to see if you're going to misrepresent. Okay? That's how that works. Okay? So that, in a nutshell, is what the provisional waivers are. All right? So let's go back and see what questions we have. Sorry. I woke up early. Okay. Here we go. So let me scroll down, see what questions we have here. I get a lot of notes here. It says, invite so-and-so as a guest. And I don't get it. Do they want to be invited as a guest so they could get their consult? Or is it just like random? I don't understand. Okay. Just a minute. Be patient with me. I'm just going down seeing what questions we have. Sometimes it takes a while to get on going here. Let's see. Just a minute. Can somebody write back, what does it mean when it has all these invite so-and-so to join live as a guest, and then it has the invite? Does that mean they want to join to ask me questions live, to have a live consult? Is that what that means? Okay. Give me a clue. Because I have a lot of them, so I don't know why. Okay. Scrolling through a lot of people here. I don't see questions yet. Just a minute. Sometimes we have a lot of people and we just don't have questions. That's just how it is sometimes. Okay. Dazia got the number 2 gifter badge. Okay. Here's from Lloyd. Is it a good idea to upload evidence to USCIS account even though they don't ask you for evidence, marriage? I assume that's marriage-based. Okay, I'm not real sure of your question. I think what you're asking is you have a marriage-based case and you have evidence, and you're saying they don't specifically ask you for it. Well, understand when you file for something at immigration, it's your burden to prove you qualify for it. So, for example, if you have a marriage case and you have to prove a bona fide marriage, there's evidence you're going to need to submit to prove the bona fide marriage. Just because you married somebody and have a marriage certificate doesn't mean it's bona fide under immigration law, okay? I mean, theoretically, that person could have said, I'll give you $10,000 to marry me so I can get the green card. And you go, okay, and then you marry. Okay, that's not a bona fide marriage. So you have to submit all kinds of evidence, okay? When you met, correspondence, joint accounts, things like that, okay, to prove it's real. All right. Well, our REIT pal, you put unemployment low farm. I have absolutely no idea what you mean, okay? So you got to rephrase that. First of all, it's not a question, so I'll be happy to answer any immigration question, but I got to know what you're asking. Okay. So I was just about to ask one that was here, and it scrolled way up. Just a minute. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is from Dazia. Am I pronouncing that right? Dazia? Do I need a lawyer to fill out the cancellation of removal? Okay, well, first of all, cancellation of removal is not just a form. Okay, that's a mistake a lot of people have. They'll see a form for a waiver, or they'll see a form for asylum, or any type of petition, and they'll just fill out the form and think it's done. It's hunky-dory, okay? And that's not the case. That's like the book cover, okay? That's like the table of contents. Okay, the meat of it has to properly be done, okay? Now, cancellation of removal means you can either do for lawful permanent residence or non-permanent residence. So, and you have to be in removal proceedings. So, Dazia, either you or your spouse or somebody you know is in removal proceedings. And they either have their green card or they don't. If they have their green card, that means they committed a crime and they're doing cancellation of removal for lawful permanent residence, assuming they qualify. If they don't have a crime, that means, and they don't have the green card, that means they're going to do lawful or cancellation of removal for non-permanent residents. Now, the key here is to understand that the decision of the judge is discretionary. What does that mean? That means that the judge can say yes or no. And I'll tell you what, the reality is, the judge starts off with no. That's the reality. You have to convince the judge. It's your burden to... Oh, that's the reality. You have to convince the judge. It's your burden of proof. You're applying for cancellation of removal. You've been found removable by an immigration judge, and now you're trying to apply for relief, essentially, to get out of that removal so you can get the green card, or you can keep the green card. So it's a burden that you have to meet. And by just filling out the form by itself, you by no means meet that burden. Not even close. You just fill out a form, even if you do it all correct. If you just fill out a form for cancellation of removal and submit that to the court, it will be denied. Because you haven't done anything. You really, all you've said is, this is where I've lived the last 10 years. This is my employment. I want to apply for cancellation of removal, blah, blah, blah. Okay? I mean, pretty much you've just listed factual information per the form. Okay? So, first of all, you absolutely want to have a lawyer, not just fill out the form. You want to have a lawyer that represents you in removal proceedings. Okay? If you broke your arm, you wouldn't try to fix your arm yourself. Okay? And when you're in removal proceeding, you are not their friend. You are not the trial attorney's friend, and you are not the judge's friend. You are a number, okay? And they have thousands of numbers. They've gone through thousands of cases before you. They've got thousands of cases after you. If they could just order removal and get you out of there and not have to deal with a 4-hour trial, not have to deal with the lawyer that protects you, that makes the arguments, in 2 seconds, they would do that. Okay? In 2 seconds, they would order the removal, deny the relief, and that case would be done. Okay? It wouldn't be done for you, but it'd be done for them. And so you need to have an attorney that has your interests in mind, that protects you in removal proceedings. Okay, if you believe that, first of all, an attorney can just fill out the form and that's enough to protect you, that's wrong. Okay? And I'm just letting you know the reality of it. They'll tear you apart in there if you go in there without an attorney who knows what they're doing. They'll tear the attorney apart if the attorney doesn't know what they're doing. Okay? I've seen it. I mean, they're not nice. They don't like people coming in their court not knowing what they're doing. Okay? So there's your answer. I could have just said yes, but I elaborated on it. Okay? So you understood. All right? Okay. What else we have? Just a minute. In Texas is bad. Okay. Well, Dazia, you're the one I just answered the question on, and apparently you're in Texas. Yes, that's the Fifth Circuit. They are not nearly as nice. Oh, thank you for the roses, Haito. They are not nearly as nice as other circuits. Okay, I mean, first of all, I'm licensed in Texas. Secondly, I've got lots of clients in Texas, and I've done lots of immigration hearings in Texas, so I know how it goes there. So, you know, if you, for example, were in California, still I'd tell you the same thing. You need an attorney and all that, but especially in Texas. Okay. I mean, there's other states out there too, but that's a very conservative state. And, you do not want to try to go up alone. Okay. I hope I've made my point. Okay, Premi. My asylum is pending. My 601 waiver is very close to approval date, March 23rd. Should I close the asylum? No. Absolutely, positively not. Do you know what you're really asking? What you're really asking is you're basically saying, I know my 601 waiver is going to get approved. I know once it gets approved, my petition for residency will get approved. I know there's no issues. It's not a problem. Let me just forget about the asylum, go on my merry way and get my green card. That's really what you're saying. And you should not be saying that. Okay? You really should not be saying that, because nothing in immigration law is guaranteed. Okay? I mean, oops, sorry, there's my hand. Sorry, I'm trying to clear off something on my screen. What the heck? Why is it doing that? Oh, for God's sakes. I can't. Oh, there it goes. Okay, sorry. Technical glitch. Let's go back 30 seconds so we're professional. Okay. You cannot assume for 1 second that your waiver, let's just talk about the waiver. Forget about the immigration petition. I mean, let's say you have a marriage petition or something. Forget about that. You can't assume your waiver is going to be approved just because you filed it. They're not there just to rubber stamp everything. I mean, especially today. They're more like on the other end. They're there to try to deny everything. So your burden of proving and your burden of showing why it should be approved is difficult. I mean, you need a waiver because you're inadmissible. And you're asking them to do you a favor by forgetting about that inadmissibility and allowing you in. And then, even if you get past that, you can't just assume the petition itself, the family petition or the employment petition, whatever you're doing, is going to be approved. There's hundreds of different issues. And hopefully, you know, you're not one of these people that looked on the internet for 15 minutes and thinks you're an expert in immigration law. So the idea is if you've already filed an asylum, assuming it's not a frivolous asylum. If it's a frivolous asylum, yes, you need to get rid of it. But if it's a real asylum and there's a chance of success, you can't let that go until you're sure the other one has been approved. And by the other one, I don't mean just the 601. I mean the waiver and the petition. What if it's a marriage petition? Okay, let's assume that everything is perfect. You have no issues and it's going to be approved. It looks like it'll be approved. Let's say that 3 months, let's say you withdraw your asylum claim, the I-601's approved, an interview set for your marriage petition, and 3 months before your marriage petition, your wife dies. Okay? Or she leaves you. Okay? Or something like that. I mean, stuff happens, and when this happens, then what you thought was a fantastic petition no longer is barely approvable. Okay? And then if you withdraw the asylum, you've now given up the opportunity to get the green card based on what you had at the beginning. All right? So don't withdraw. You could ask for a continuance. Okay? But don't withdraw it while it's pending. Not a good idea. Okay? Let's see what we have. All right. Just a minute. I got to find the next question. And I was where I was, and then it just scrolled all the way down like 100 questions. What type of questions do they ask during consular visit in our home country? This is from Lily. Well, Lily, that depends what you're applying for. Are you applying for a B2 visitor visa? Are you applying for an H-1B work visa? E2 investment visa? Are you applying for the green card? Are you based on family? Is it based on employment? Do you have an I-140 pending and now it's going to go through and you're going to get the green card? Is it based on a U visa or a victim of crime? There's all kinds of reasons. Okay? I mean, that's a very broad question. That's like saying, what's the ingredients in that food? Okay? First of all, you got to know what food they're talking about. And then you have to know what the ingredients are in it. Okay? You have to know if you're talking about a pie or if you're talking about spaghetti, okay? So I need more information as to what it is you're applying for in order to know what they're going to ask you. I mean, obviously, they need to ask you the bona fides of whatever it is you're applying for to make sure you qualify and so forth, okay? But it will vary. So let me know what it is you're applying for. Okay. Let's see. See how we're doing on time here. Just a minute. All right. Okay. This is from Food Elegance. Exactly. They are not under what to do. Okay, I don't understand. Oh, I think I know what you're saying, Food Elegance. You're agreeing with me, and you're saying that some of these people that are applying for whatever, they do not understand what to do when they're doing it on their own. I think that's what you're saying. So you're agreeing with me. All right. Okay. Let's see. Murad. You say, hi, after the approval letter for the U visa, how long does it take to get the green card? Forever. It takes a long time. You know that they only allow, and this sounds like a lot, because you go to other countries, it's a lot, 10,000 U visas per year. Those are victims of crime. And the reality is there's so many people that are victims of crime that the 10,000 has been backlogged for years and years. So in this particular case, I'd need to see if it was a bona fide approval, meaning is it a bona fide case, or if it actually has adjudicated the U, if you need any waivers as to where it is in the process. Okay? And this is Food Elegance again. You say attorney cannot protect you. That's not a true statement. Attorney can protect you. I think what you're trying to say is that the attorney is not a magician and can't make everything disappear and can't guarantee success. But an attorney can certainly protect you. Okay? I mean, just think about it. If you're in front of an immigration judge and they're arguing legalities of, for example, whether you qualify for registry, or whether, since we had a cancellation of removal question, whether you statutorily qualify, or whether there's a discretionary basis, or question various things on credibility, and the trial attorney's coming at you, do you think that someone who has no legal training, who's not an attorney, who's not an immigration attorney, who doesn't have years of experience, who's not standing there, will not be able to help you make arguments so you can win? Of course attorneys protect you. Okay. Okay, this is Food Elegance again. You live in Texas. You have thousands and thousands of files, or they have thousands of files, and they have little no hope. I mean, that may be the case, especially for those people who can't afford attorneys, okay, or don't get even pro bono attorneys. They're just food in the system. I mean, I agree with you on that. They walk in there every day in immigration court, and they've got stacks and stacks of files, and sometimes the trial attorneys have spent less than 5 minutes looking over all of them. I mean, that's what happens. And if you're in the system and you don't have proper representation, then yes, they're going to run you through. They're going to do. I've seen cases where they will do a mass deportation. Okay, meaning that they'll do all the cases with attorneys first, then they'll do the cases in pro per. Then they'll have several other cases, like maybe 10 or 15 or 20 cases that they think fall in the same category, and they'll read them 20 cases that they think fall in the same category, and they'll read them all their rights at once, they'll ask everything at once, and they'll deport them all at once. They'll order mass deportations all at once. And I guarantee you, if any one of them had an attorney, they wouldn't have let it happen like that, okay? So, in fact, your sentence that attorneys can't protect, they're pretty much the only ones that can, okay? Because just imagine if you go to a foreign country and you're in removal proceedings in their country in languages that are not your own, with laws that you have no clue. I mean, you're just a cog in the wheel. Okay, so get an attorney if you're going to be in removal proceedings. Okay, do you assist with government pardons? Yes, but it's a last ditch resort. Okay. Some people who think that they qualify for government pardons qualify for other things as well. Okay? And I don't use government pardons unless it's an absolute last ditch. Honestly, the government pardon's like a Hail Mary. Okay? And you have state pardons and you have federal pardons. Okay? As of right now, for especially for immigration related stuff, I don't think filing a federal pardon would be in your best interest. If it's state, I need to know why. Did you try to go through criminal relief? I'd need to see first if you're even inadmissible. If you are, is there a waiver? If there's not a waiver, did you do criminal relief? If you did criminal relief, was it with an attorney? Do we need to try to go back? Maybe there's ways of reducing the crime so you're not an aggravated felon that you would then be eligible for a waiver. Okay, I need to see if there's a possible derivative citizenship issue. Okay, there's all kinds of stuff. So, the answer is yes, but I need to give you a consult first because I want to see what else you might qualify for. Okay, Murad, hi. After the approval letter, you asked this question before. Okay. Premi, thanks. You're welcome. Donnell. Well, that's not really a question. Lily, you put I-130. I think I was talking about your case earlier before, but I can't remember the specifics. So, were you the one that was asking about what questions are they going to ask at the consulate? First of all, they're not going to ask questions about the I-130 at the consulate if this is you, because only USCIS has jurisdiction to adjudicate the I-130. So the I-130 would be approved by the time it gets to the consulate. That doesn't mean they're not going to ask about the bona fides of the family relationship. So if it's, for example, a marriage petition, they're going to, they want to know where you met. They basically want to know you didn't pay the person to get the green card, or you didn't marry just to get the green card, that it's for love. And they're going to want to make sure of that. That's when you see those movies where they say, what color toothbrush is yours and what color toothbrush is theirs type thing. I'm not saying they ask that in particular, but they're going to want to make sure that it's bona fide. Okay. Blanca. I put a petition I-130 for a husband. I had an appointment. And they canceled it 3 days before the appointment. Okay. They don't just cancel for no reason. So I need to know why they canceled it. And if you say you don't know, then if I was representing you, I'd have to contact the consulate, assuming it's the consulate, and see why. If you're not talking about the consulate, but you're talking about USCIS, I also would need to know why. Okay? Sometimes they cancel it because the person got sick, the adjudicator. Sometimes they cancel it because some information came or there was a withdrawal that you don't know about. So I need to see. Don't just sit there and wait for it. If they say they canceled it, you need to take care of business. Okay? And you asked a follow-up question, is that common? No, it's not common. I would need to see the cancellation letter, okay, to give you more advice, okay? This is Jonathan. Did I pronounce that right? Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay. I was told I was in a queue for an interview in Seattle. So how long does it take? It depends what you're applying for. I don't know what you're applying for. Is it a family-based petition? Is it asylum? Is it an employment-based petition? Okay, so you need to tell me what you're applying for, and I'll give you more info. All right. Well, I think we're approaching the end of our time together. So what I'll do is I'll sign off. I hope everybody enjoyed the live. Let me just see. We just had a couple more questions that came through. So, Haito, you have a criminal case from 2006. You're deported in 2012. Which paperwork would you need for consultation? Well, I need to know why you were deported. So, and and several other things. So what I do in cases like this, I need to see your criminal files. I need to see your deportation files. I need to see your immigration files. I need to see all of that. And then I'll be able to determine best how to help you. Pain too real. Is the aggravated battery enough to get deported? That depends, okay? I mean, unless it's a petty crime offense, which is unlikely the case considering it has the word aggravated in the name itself. It likely is. The question is whether it's an aggravated felon under immigration law or if you can just use an immigration waiver assuming you qualify. So I need more information, but yeah, it's definitely enough. Okay, Blanca, it goes, this is to advise that due to unfortunate circumstances, we had to cancel the previous scheduled appointment. Okay. It looks like, Blanca, it looks like it wasn't your fault at all. It looks like something happened at the immigration office. So I'm not sure how long ago this happened, but you obviously need to reschedule it. So if they don't reschedule it in a reasonable time, you need to call back and take care of it yourself. Okay? All right, all that makes sense, guys. All right, well, I have consults I have to get to, so I hope you guys have enjoyed the live, and until next time. All right, have a good day. You're welcome, Blanca.